Hey everyone, it's Jason and welcome to another Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid unboxing. This is for the Shadow of Venjix theme pack. So this is kind of a different thing that they're trying out and see if they keep doing stuff like this or not. But basically, instead of just having an Allies pack or just having a Villains pack, this is a combination of both. So we're getting two bosses, a monster, as well as two brand new Rangers. And the whole theming thing is because it's a cross between a villain essentially going from like one show to the next, which has happened in characters transitioning from shows to shows and different things like that. It's kind of a neat idea to add some more thematic stuff, kind of like they've had some of the bigger box sets have done that as well, where they have both Rangers and villains, or stuff like Shattered Grid or Light versus Dark, as well as like the Minions boxes where they can have two different Minions from different series. This is another breach over between the two. So who do we have in here? We start off with Kenya 7 and Final Vengeance here, who are from the RPM series, where we are, as of this video, we currently don't have the Rangers for, but they are coming. They've been announced. So we will get the Rangers to fight them. Then we have up here, we have our other bosses. We have Perfect Evox. So spoilers for the TV show is that Venjix doesn't get completely destroyed, ends up surviving a long time, becomes digital, and pops up in Beast Morphers as Final Evox. And that's where we get our last two Rangers from, is we have Steel and Nate Silver, the gold and silver Beast Morpher Rangers. Which is also fun because we get our third and fourth, I think it's fourth and fifth Rangers for that team. There's only two of them. But we get the rest of the Beast Morphers team, which is really fun as well. So we're going to go ahead and hop in and look at that. So there's a little rule pamphlet. So we're going to get two Rangers, bunch of cards, all that. So one thing we do want to point out here is new rules. I like to point these out a little bit ahead of time, is we have card removal effects. Kenya 7 and Final Vengeance have a variety of effects that target specific combat cards and remove them from the game. When a card is removed from the game, return it to the game box. Remove cards can only be used or recovered by Ranger. These card removal effects solely reduce Ranger decks from their usual starting size of 10 cards, and they can result in your Ranger deck being reduced to 0 cards. As usual, when the last card of any Ranger's deck is removed by one of these effects, even if the Ranger still has a card in your hand or discard pile, they lose. Yeah, so it's kind of neat, because there's a fact that, yeah, you can literally remove cards from the game, and now you don't get access to them anymore. It's one thing is like, oh no, I had to discard this card. But you might be able to get it back when you reshuffle your deck eventually. Another one we want to kind of bring out is more specific, is Nate Silva's Legendary Arsenal, which we'll get to that in a minute, or when we get to him. Allows him to play a card from the game box before removing it again. This effect can only be used on cards with a cost of 3 or X. The card played with this effect can be any combat card from your collection. Before the game begins, handpick a few cards out you might wish to play and set them aside. This is especially helpful if the player controlling it is unfamiliar with your collection. However, this effect cannot be used on cards that started in the current game session in play but were subsequently removed from the game via effects. Yeah, so it's kind of crazy, right? We're going to have cards that let you remove cards from the game and other ones that let you bring them back in. We're going to start off by looking at our villains. So we'll start with good old Kenya 7 here. If she wants to focus. If I move this box, sometimes that's the issue. Yeah, she's got her finger guns. This does not want to focus for me. There we go. Yeah, her guns, her hand, in the show, her hand constantly, like, turns into a gun. And she gets to shoot around. Yeah, this is really having trouble capturing her for some reason. Sorry. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of other things. I don't really want to spoil too much in the show, but there's always a mystery about who she actually is because, you know, she's very humanoid. Again, she's a hand that's a gun. But yeah, she's very, very interesting character. It's one of the ones where, like, as you're watching the show, you're always like, oh, at some point they're gonna be revealed that, you know, like, they're actually undercover, or they're gonna turn into a ranger or something. And it's like, it keeps you on your toes the entire show, the whole mystery of her. And yeah, I don't want to get into the spoilers of it, to be honest. I'd rather have you want to see it, go watch it. RPM, it's a really good series. It's definitely one of my top ones. Heads up on these cards, though, is I have everything sleeved. I've had to re-record this video from when the game came out. So all of my cards are now sleeved. So here's our monster card, and on the back we just have monster. So I have all my cards clear sleeved for those, just so you can tell which ones they are. Then the regular monsters, I do have orange sleeved. There's the back of her card. And get a better picture of what she looks like. And then we'll actually look at her actual card. So she's got 3 copies of Shadow of Venjix. 4 health. With guard, deal 3 damage. If any of these cards, if any cards are discarded for defense as a result of this damage, remove them from the game. That's crazy, though, right? So yeah, if you let this go off, anything that gets discarded. So that means as long as unless you draw if you draw a 3 even and you block all 3 damage, you're gonna lose cards. You can easily lose like 2 or 3 cards off of this, which is really crazy to think about. 2 copies of Mind Shock. 1 ranger must choose 1 card in their hand to remove it from the game. Again, this is just straight up, just get rid of these cards. You no longer have these cards available to you. It's gonna make her a very hard villain to fight. We have 2 copies of a Blaster Hand. 4 health and fast, deal 4 damage. The ranger who suffers this damage must discard 1 card from their hand. So again, discarding, it's painful. It's not that bad. It's not like, again, compared to removal. And then her final one is Havoc Buster. 4 health and fast. Drain 2 energy. Each ranger must discard the top card of their deck. Again, yeah, discarding from your deck is worse than your hand because it's costing you essentially your life. But you could do a recovery process. But once you remove it from the game, it's gone for good. So yeah, she could be very hard to fight. Alright, up next we have the big baddie himself, Venjix. Yeah, this guy's just a beefy miniature as well. He's got little spikes and screws all over him. He's got not too much else on the back. He's got some bases on his shoulders. But I mean, yeah, I can see him going toe-to-toe against a team of Rangers very easily. So, we're going to have his card, of course. Which will have the boss on the back. And then the back of his card. So that's what he looks like. Yeah, he's like kind of digitally. At least I look at it as a hard paint job. I mean, it's all silvers and blacks. Lots of detail trim, but not like a bunch of different colors. But let's look at his abilities. He has 2 copies of Cataclysmic Burst. 5 health and fast. Deal 3 damage to each ranger. If any cards are discarded for defense as a result of this damage, remove them from the game. It's the same as Kenya's, except hers is now fast and it's every ranger. Which is even worse. 2 copies of Dark Download. 6 health Fast and guard. Drain 3 energy. One ranger must choose 2 cards from their hand and remove them from the game. Ooh boy. At least the upside of, I guess, him being a boss is, you know, like, when you come to him, you just have to survive long enough to beat him. With Kenya, she's a monster, so she could be the first monster you come across. You might deal with a second monster and then a boss yet. You still have a ways to go. 2 copies of Viral Code. There's his original form, at least per the show, which is why it's called Final Vengeance in the other one. 4 health and fast. Deal 2 damage to each ranger. Move the bottom card of each ranger's deck from the game. And he has 1 copy of Deletion Beam, where he's literally fighting the Megazord. 7 health and guard. Deal an amount of damage equal to the number of combat cards that have been removed from the game so far. So this is a very interesting card, because this could be, technically this could come out and be a 0 if you've gotten lucky. It's like the first one you have to deal with. But yeah, if it hits later, like, and you have all 5 rangers have to be taking them out, it could be a very hard card to deal with. And then his last one is Data Absorption. 5 health and passive. List cards in play after ranger in this location resolves a combat card. Remove that card from the game. Yes, if this comes out, this has to be your priority. You have to take this out before it resolves. And even still, as far as I would consider, is that as well as this in play after resolves a combat card. So that means even if you defeat this card, you still have to bare minimum remove the attack that you did against it. So that can be very hard to fight. So yeah, these two seem like a very hard combo. But that's not always a bad thing. Like, with the bosses and monsters, like, if they're all too easy, then the game's not that fun. If you have too many that are too hard. The only way it'd be kind of if they had some sort of, I would like to say if they had some sort of tier ranking or ranking on seeing which ones are more difficult at a quick glance. But it might also just depend on who's playing and play style. Because, yeah, if you have a team of characters that can all stick together and work together as a team, might not be so hard. But if you have a bunch of players and everyone's kind of being independent, you know, or the Rangers work better independently, some of these guys might be 10 times harder than normal. So it's hard to, like, even gauge the difficulty for that scenario. Alright, so our other boss is now when he goes to Beast Morphers, and then he's kind of the same idea. He doesn't have a body for a long time, then he finally gets a body, and he becomes Perfect Evox, so it's like regular Evox, where it's just data, and then he becomes perfect. But yeah, there's like a lot more tedious to paint, like all the strings of hair wire, plus all the little nooks and crannies on him. Plus he's got this crazy triangle theme going on. And he's kind of a snake. Like, literally. I mean, so there's his regular card. Yeah, so there's his paint job there. That's going to become a little bit harder to do. His paint job, his colored look, I guess. So what can he do against our team of Rangers? We've got 2 copies of Corrupt Command. 6 health and guard. Deal 3 damage to each Ranger and remove 1 energy token from the command center. If there are no energy tokens in the command center, deal 5 damage to each Ranger instead. That's crazy, right? I don't know how many other characters actually directly attack the command center. But getting rid of that energy token is essentially like your extra life. And this guy's just like, nope, not having any of that. 2 copies of Crash the System. 5 health with a guard. Deal 3 damage to each ranger and drain all energy. Increase this damage by 3 if the shared energy pool was empty. So there's a snake for him. Yeah, so if this hits early, 3 and draining is a pain. But if it hits later and you spent all your energy, and now it does 6. So yeah, this might be one of the things where you might have to sacrifice playing a bigger card, to take this, especially if he hits another card and he takes your energy, your token from the command center, so you lose a life, so you can't even sacrifice someone to this card. 2 copies of Perfect Assault, 4 health with fast, deal 3 damage to each ranger, draining amount of energy equal to the number of cards discarded for defense as a result of this damage. So yeah, he's all about draining your energy. Which makes sense. That's the whole thing. He's trying to drain energy to like power himself up. He has Reality Trespass, 8 health and passive. If this card is in play at the end of this battle, remove Perfect Evox's figure to the next location clockwise that is not its figure limit. That location becomes panicked. This is really cool because that means he's going to move around the board, panicking new areas. So it just says in the rule, it says this location you move to cannot be at its figure limit, but can be panicked already. If he was the only enemy in the figure's previous location, it is no longer panicked. So not only does 2 things. Is one, he can go around and he can essentially panic another area. If there's already enough guys in his area, he'll panic them. He can move. Plus, the other thing is that means lots of times when you're fighting the boss, you have them in like one location, and okay, we've taken out 3 of his cards. Okay, now we have to battle him again. You can't have everyone there. That's just okay. One person can take their action, spend it to rebattle. Maybe you have to do that 2 or 3 times if you really need to, based on how many rangers you have in the area. This basically means if you don't defeat this one card, he's gonna move. So that means now everyone has to spend an action to move to the next location, which probably means that most of, like, at least the lead ranger that acted the first time, can move over. But if everyone moved that first time to that location where the boss was at, and then one person activated, that means everyone can move again, but no one's gonna have a free activation. So basically, you're wasting all your action points trying to play catch up, which is a cool idea. And then his last card is Morph X Fission. So lots of the enemies for this series have the Morph X, which is what they're trying to steal, which is essentially the Power Rangers energy, the great energy, like, focused. So we have 5 health, fast, guard, and passive. Well, this card is in play if the shared energy pool has less than 2 energy. Increase the health value of all Perfect Evox's card, including this one, by 2. Yeah, this is interesting. It's going to just penalize you for having more energy. So the more you have, the harder it's going to be, or it's going to hit you harder, or it's just going to take it. Very, very cool. Alright, so then, now that we've gotten those guys out of the way, the bad guys, let's look at who new rangers are actually going to fight Perfect Evox and what they can do against him. Alright, so we have our Gold Ranger here, Nate Silva, who is kind of just like the tech data guy for the team, and then eventually he becomes a ranger, which is really cool. And I'm going to just show off right away, we have the Silver Ranger right after that, who, my memory might be very rusty on this. This is Steel. But what Steel was, is if I remember, he made a robotic clone of himself so that he could have a robot be, when he became a ranger, he could have a robot be in the factory, or like in the base, doing all his like helpful stuff, where he could then go out and be a ranger. That was the idea. Is he kept getting sidelined because, like, oh, we need you in the base more than we need you on the field. And at one point, he also became a ranger, became this Silver Ranger, or the Steel Ranger, rather. Yeah, very cool. But he's very much a robot. But he has a very interesting idea. And these two kind of work in tandem as a team. which is a neat idea as well. Like, we've gotten other extra Rangers, but they usually don't work as a team together. So let's see what they do. We're just going to go one at a time here. We have Nate Silva, Beast Morphers Gold Ranger, plus, hey, another Gold and Silver Ranger, always fun to get. He has Prodigy. It says once per battle, up to 2 different Rangers may each look at the top card of their deck and may then each draw 1 card. You may use his ability during battles in other locations. Just as fun that he doesn't even have to be on the team with the people doing it, and they can use his ability. And look at the top card of their deck, and they may each draw 1 card. So this could very easily give you the idea, like, do I need to get this card, or do I need that for defense? It could be a little game changer there, so it's kind of cool. Alright, then we have our first 2 cards. We have Striker Beast Blast. So, 0 cost attack for 2 dice. After you resolve this attack, any Ranger may discard a copy of Striker Beast Blast from their hand to perform an attack with 2 dice. So yeah, there's not going to be a lot of characters that have Striker Beast Blast, but there is specifically one other character that has one. But that's kind of neat. Plus, there's any Ranger, so technically if you have both copies, you could play one, you may discard your other copy to perform an extra attack for 2, so you could combo with himself. And then we have 2 copies of Striker Saber Gold, 1 cost, attack with 3 dice. Any Ranger may reveal a card in their hand with Striker Saber in its name to add 1 die to this attack. So again, boost with himself, or if you have another Ranger that has these cards, you could team up with them. So it's definitely a neat idea. This could also be very interesting if you're playing the legendary mode, where you can make your own deck with multiple Rangers, because then you could have these cards in technically a deck with any other Ranger. You could just basically take Mighty Morphin Red, pull out 2 cards, put in Striker Saber Gold, and then someone else could be playing RPM Yellow and take out the other cards and put 2 in their deck, right? So that'd be kind of a neat idea. You could, if you're playing that legendary mode, you could mix and match Rangers. You could have anyone have these cards. He's got 2 copies of Quick Thinking. 0 cost reaction. Play this card when any Ranger suffers damage. Gain 1 energy. That Ranger may draw up to 2 cards, then choose up to 2 cards from their hand and place them on top of their deck in any order. This is kind of neat, because he tries to walk this line between being a Ranger and having attack cards and being a support character, much like Alpha 5 or Dr. KR, where he does support stuff where he's letting his teammates draw extra cards and do things like that, but he still wants to hop out and attack. We have 2 copies of Beast Bots Go, 0 cost reaction. Play this card in any battle regardless of location. So this is kind of where it gets at. You can help out from wherever. After any Ranger uses a once per battle ability, that Ranger may draw 1 card, gain 1 energy, or deal 1 hit to an enemy of their choice. So that's the second ability he has that lets him help any Ranger in any field. So he can be at the base, he can be wherever, and still do stuff, so it makes sense for him to attack last. His signature weapon, his power weapon, is the Beast X King Ultra Bow, which costs X in its attack for 1 die. Any Ranger may draw any number of cards equal to the amount of energy spent to play this card. Add 2 dice to this attack for each card drawn this way. So yeah, this is kind of an interesting one, because it's going to involve everyone drawing cards. And so depending on how many Rangers you have together, and how much energy you can afford to spend, and how many cards they can afford to draw. Some characters might not be able to draw more than 1 card at a time. So if you have all 5 Rangers, if each one can only afford to draw 1, it's still 5. Even if each Ranger draws 1, you're getting 2 dice for each attack. So even with 3 Rangers, you get 6 extra dice. So it's going to be very powerful, very quick, depending on how many Rangers you have and how many cards they can draw. Then his last card, which is his quote-unquote team ability, but because he's like the extra Ranger of the team, he doesn't have one that fits right with the team. It says Legendary Arsenal. So we did mention this one a little bit earlier in the rule book. What this says is a 4-cost maneuver. Choose one combat card from the game box with an energy cost of 3 or X. So generally a power weapon or a team ability are the ones that have those. I mean, there's occasionally some of the other characters that have other ones that aren't those. Play it, then remove it from the game after it resolves. If its cost is X, treat it as though you spent 3 energy to play it. So that's a really neat idea. So what the rules were saying is basically there's like 30, 40, there's 40, 50 some different Ranger decks out there. More all the time, whatever. It's saying they don't want you to play this card and then be digging through your entire box looking at every single Ranger card. You're playing a solo game by yourself, feel free. You have time to do that. But if you're playing with other people, I'd say it's almost inconsiderate or disrespectful to spend time doing that. Yes, you might be able to be like, okay, I have the perfect Ranger, has a perfect card for this situation. But no one wants to sit around and have you dig through every single Ranger card. So the idea would be is maybe bring like 5, 6 cards from the game. Like, hey, I'm gonna bring, like again, Mighty Morphin Reds, Power Weapon. I'm gonna bring, Mystic Ranger White's X ability, or, Silver Beast Morphers 3-cost attack, and bring them, and that way you just, yes, it's going to limit the pool of options you have on which cards you can play with this, but it's also not going to hold the game up so long because you're looking at every single card, debating every option. Because some Rangers, a majority of them, have a 3-cost and an X. Although every Ranger that has an X usually has the same for all 5 Rangers, but that even means like you're looking at just the Mighty Morphin, the main deck, you have 6 different cards to look at. One for 3 cost for each Ranger plus their X. And now if you add that 6 potentially through like 10 different teams, 60 different cards to sit there and like, well, this one might work, this one. It's gonna eat up some time if you do it in the middle of the game. Also, the fact is because X is automatically 3, that's going to definitely change how well some of them work. So a good example here would be is if we played this one, which obviously he can't play it himself because he includes it in his deck, and you can't use your own cards. But if this was played for 3, it says any Ranger may draw any number of cards equal to the amount spent. So it'd be 3. So any Ranger may draw a number of cards equal, so any Ranger may draw 3 cards, and you can add 2 dice for each card drawn this way. So basically, if someone else draws 3 cards, it does 6. Yeah, but that's a very interesting, cool card. Plus, the artwork is kind of neat because it has a bunch of different, the weapons from different things. We have an SPD blaster, we have RPMs, going under, like Saber. I don't even remember what all these are from. But this also links back to the whole way Beast Morphers started. They unlocked the morphing grid through looking through the different weapons from the past Rangers, as well as like some of their morphers. And it's also how Venjix turning to Evox got released, was through he was hiding in one of the RPM morphers, I believe. So very cool. And then we have our Zord. We'll zoom out just a bit for that and move that down. We have the Wrecker Zord, who's a tow truck. I'm going to say crane, but he's a tow truck. Exhaust this card at any time. Up to 3 different Rangers may each reveal 1 card from their hand. If there is at least 1 copy of that card in their discard, they may place that copy on their deck. Yes, this could be very, very good. There's lots of times you like to have a extra copy of the card, or you have cards that care about the names of other ones, like we've seen with Striker, Striker Beast Blast and Striker Saber. I know some of the Yellow Rangers usually have abilities like that. The Yellow Mighty Morphin has like Saber Tooth Strike, which gets a bonus if you have the cards with the same names. So yeah, this could definitely be a great way to get some of them cards back. But it could also, at least you have up to 3 Rangers, so that means everyone can do it. And there's really no reason why they wouldn't, unless they don't want one of those cards back for some odd reason. Alright, our other Ranger is Steel, which he frustrates me because of his long name. So I keep track of all these in a database, and I always put like the Ranger, then like what their ability name is, and then all of a sudden he comes along as Mr. Fantastic, super handsome, strong as steel. Which then now completely destroys the length of all my boxes because it's 5 times longer than, you know, Prodigy. I'm not really mad, but, you know, that's what happens. It says, once per battle, when you would draw a card, you may instead discard the top card of your deck. If you do, add 2 dice to the next attack any Ranger performs during this battle. Cool. So he's going to kind of sacrifice his ability to basically boost anybody else. And again, any Ranger, so it could be him as well. So that's really fun. Kind of like a bonus thing, like sacrifice 1 card. Now, if you know what your cards are, this is a lot less risky, but very, very interesting as well. So his first 2 cards are his Striker Beast Blast. 0 cost attack for 2 dice. After his all-this attack, any Ranger may discard a copy of Striker Beast Blast from their hand to perform an attack with 2 dice. So that'll be the exact same as the other one. I wish the artwork kind of went together. That would have been much cooler. Yeah, but if you're playing these guys together, now you have 4 total copies. And then we have 2 copies of Striker Saber Silver. It says 1 cost, attack for 3 dice. Any Ranger may reveal a card in their hand with Striker Saber in its name to gain 1 energy. So it is neat here, is although the other 2 blast cards work the exact same, these have different. So the gold one gains 1 extra die, the silver one gains 1 extra energy. So they work a little bit differently, which is kind of neat. And then we have 2 copies of Brazen Strike. 0 cost attack for 3 dice. After you resolve this attack, you must draw 1 card. This is kind of like him being, if you imagine drawing cards again, your health, this is him just doing like a charge attack. Like he's going to take a hit. It's just kind of making him draw a card. It's a risk he's gambling. He's reducing his health down for the fact that he's gaining an advantage of an attack. Then he has 2 copies of Silver Swagger, 0 cost maneuver. Discard the top card of your deck. Another Ranger may immediately play 1 attack card with an energy cost of 0. Add 2 dice to that attack. Just adding dice is very, very good. Plus a 0 cost for free. Very cool. But again, he's discarding the top card of the deck, kind of becoming a distraction. So this is kind of very a self-sacrificing character, spending his deck by discarding here, discarding there, or drawing cards, at the sake of helping out everybody else. His signature card is Striker Beast Slash, 3 cost attack for 4 dice. After you resolve this attack, any Ranger may discard a card from their hand with Striker Saber in its name to perform an attack with 4 dice. This is neat because now it combos with both of them, but it's not one that they both share back and forth. But yeah, so you can jump in and you can discard this. If you're playing with both Rangers, this can become even more powerful. And then his final card, this was kind of like his original form, or his non-morphed form before he morphs into a Ranger. So this is what he would normally look like when he's running around. I am amazing. Reaction. Play this card at the start of the battle. You may draw 1 card and gain 1 energy, or deal 1 damage to an enemy card of your choice. Yeah, so that's actually pretty powerful. at the start of the battle, you may draw 1 energy. Draw 1 card, gain 1 energy, or deal 1 damage to an enemy of your choice. So again, it's going to work very much like this Beast Bots Go over here, except this says any ranger in any location can use it after they use a once per play ability. This is just at the start of the battle, he can do it. So where the Gold Ranger, again, is kind of helping out everyone, the Silver Ranger is a little bit more selfish, trying to be in the spotlight, but he gets a very similar effect. Which is kind of neat. They play similar, but they play different enough. Alright, so then we have his Zord. We have the Jet Zord. Exhaust this card anytime. Any ranger may choose 2 cards from their discard pile and place them at the bottom of their deck in any order. They may then draw 1 card. So this works really well with his ability to keep discarding because it'll let him get cards back, and then he can immediately draw another card. But it can help everybody else out as well. Very cool. Plus, it's always a May draw. Alright, then we have an extra Zord. We have the Beast X King Zord. So any Beast Morpher can use this. It's an auxiliary Zord, essentially. Exhaust this card when any ranger plays a card with an energy cost of X. Resolve that card as though they spent 3 energy to play it. So much like Legendary Arsenal, this allows that to be used essentially by anybody. And again, this could have some really cool effects with other different rangers. Not just the Beast Morphers. Although you need a Beast Morpher to play it if you're following the regular rules. And then finally we have their Megazord, which is the Beast X King Ultra Zord, which is a combination of the Beast X King Zord, the Wrecker Zord, and the Jet Zord. So they kind of gain their 3 to combine together. Exhaust this card after any ranger resolves a card with an energy of X. Return all energy spent to play a card to the shared energy pool. This is super powerful. There's a lot of really cool X cards in the game. And this eventually says, spend all of it. Spend everything you can, because now you can go ahead and get all your energy right back. Interesting to also note, though, is it goes in the shared energy pool, and then also noting with, like, Venjix, or not, Evox, you're fighting with this set, you're fighting thematically. He has all this stuff where he likes to drain energy. Also note that Silver Ranger has no X abilities at all. Only the Gold Ranger does. So, kind of interesting that they have that as a way they did this. Alright, so that was our box there. I'll back this up. That was the Shadow of Venjix theme pack. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do more theme packs like this, where we tie a couple of different, like, extra rangers together with maybe some of the villains, team up. This could be a great way, I think, for them to introduce more characters that were from the comic books, such as we did with the Omega Rangers, or the Solar Rangers, or way back early on with Shattered Grid, where we had the giant crossover. We had the Hyperforce Rangers. This could be a cool way to introduce some other auxiliary rangers that have only popped up in those sets. Or maybe play like a special role as like a crossover character. Like maybe some of the rangers that reoccurred. Or where there were like 2 of them. I'm thinking the other big one I'm thinking is similar to these 2 would be like the Ninja Storm Rangers. They had the Crimson and Navy Rangers, who are separate from the core team. Those could be like characters you could add in here and add different villains. Or eventually jumping way to the future is something possible with like Cosmic Fury and Dino Fury, where that Lord Zed came back. And this would be a neat way to like reintroduce Lord Zed to the game, maybe in like his updated form, for people, or just maybe a new version for people that didn't get the original Kickstarter. But then adding some of the new Cosmic Fury or Rangers and stuff that appeared in between the 2 different seasons. Definitely lots of options with these theme packs to make some more connections, lots of crossover episodes as well. Be interesting if they do in the future. Alright, see you guys later. Bye.